right, the character that I am choosing to discuss in my podcast is going to be Troy from the story Fences from August Wilson. Um, the main reason I chose Troy is, he's the main character. But the main reason I chose Troy is because very, I mean, he's the main character, but has a lot of issues. He was a baseball player, a prisoner. He done quite a few things. Left the house when he was 14 years old. Um, you can't really distinguish whether or not he's a good character or a bad character. Um, I personally didn't like him at all. I thought he was a very selfish character. But my name is Henry Harrison. Fences, for me, wasn't really about a racial struggle, more than a psychological struggle. To me, that's what it was about. And being a man in a city, you can only go so far, with your drinking. And when I watched the movie, I got a completely different picture. But you notice when he went into the meeting for his job to become a driver, there was a black man that was doing paperwork at the desk in a suit. His son also ended up in a highly decorated Marine. I think they were showing, that it was more about placing blame at that point on what had happened in the past. There's a lot of history about August Wilson, and like in the story, they went back and forth from the early 1900s to the present time, where they were at in the 60s, and how baseball had come along, and even the mention when they said something about he was too old to be in the major leagues, but when they mentioned Jackie Robinson, he said he knew of 15 players better than Jackie Robinson. That tells me a lot about the type of man that he was after he's had a few drinks, and he starts just going off about different things. I did look into August Wilson. I found some good stuff from putting black culture on stage. August Wilson's Pittsburgh Cycle. He's very popular throughout I think it was from American theater from 1980s to 2005. This is from one of my works cited. That voice definitely belonged to playwright August Wilson. Wilson, whom news analyst Gwen Ifill dubbed the American Shakespeare, was a prolific writer with more than 10 major plays, numerous theatrical commentaries, and other creative work to his credit. Yet it is not merely the number of his productions that marks Wilson's dominance in modern drama, but his ability to put into words the ideas and experiences of everyday African Americans who have long been caricatured, relegated to the periphery, or displaced altogether in drama created by playwrights from mainstream white society. His characters, while for the most part living out their lives in a single locale, grapple with themes and issues that all people must deal with. In constructing a thoroughly American world of recording studios, taxi stands, backyards, and kitchens, Wilson created a body of drama with universal appeal. I really agree with that, and I think there's a lot more to it than just the racial aspect of it. I really think that he goes into life for everybody, as far as advancing in life. And whose responsibility is it? Is it yours? Is it ours? Is it blame everyone else? He's a very, very good writer. And he says a lot of things that people don't want to hear. Most drunks don't want to hear that they're drunks. Most people don't want to hear the excuses on why they failed, which is, that's a big problem. Also, from Sandra G. Shannon, a little bit about August Wilson. August Wilson credits his relationship with his mother, Daisy Wilson, as having largely influenced his perception of African American women. Although he retains very fond memories of his irresponsible German-born white father, so he's multiracial. Um, and Wilson does remember how his mother raised his 5 brothers and sisters on public assistance while living in a 2-room apartment in a downtown Pittsburgh slum district. So he has a good feel. If that's true about him, he has a good idea of what it's like out there. In a seemingly tough environment. That's really you may have no hope of getting out of. That it seems or at least that's what everyone tells you, and that's what your surroundings tell you. That's what the jails tell you, and that's what your schools tell you. Because obviously, the schools in those districts aren't doing a very good job. If you look like in the news and stuff like that, I don't know how true the news is, but that's where he came from. Pittsburgh had listed as some of the worst schools out there, and most of those schools are predominantly black or African American, whatever we want to call them. I call them Black Americans. Living on welfare and later on the wages of janitorial job, Daisy Wilson kept her children healthy, fed, and educated. She would stretch eggs with flour to make breakfast go 7 ways. She would wait until Christmas Eve for the $1 tree she could afford. She would get secondhand Nancy Drew mysteries and other books for the daily reading she acquired of her children. What does that tell you? That tells you that she provided opportunities. She made a choice. Is Nancy Drew an African American writer? Absolutely not. But she's a good writer and a very excellent novelist. And so those are good stories to start with. So she was smart enough to understand that her kids needed to read. She made choices, and look how her son turned out. He's pretty good. Also, one last thing, as far as like the baseball as history and myth and August Wilson Fences, obviously growing up in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is a sports town, big time sports city. That's all they got if you've ever been to Pittsburgh, really. That's what those people love. They love their Steelers. They love their baseball. They love their Penguins. They love their sports there, and they love their alcohol. But in his Pulitzer Prize winning drama Fences, 1987, however, August Wilson uses both the history and mythology of baseball to challenge the authenticity of the American dream. Set in 1957, just before the start of the Civil Rights Movement, Fences takes place at a time when organized baseball has finally become integrated, but when racial discrimination remains widespread. I pretty much agree with that, but remember, like I said, they were trying to point out, like, hey, we're making progress, and you need to recognize that. So, he keeps using his excuses to apply to everyone else. So that's a little bit of history on him. Now, the character analysis of Troy Maxson is a guy that has been through a lot through his life. He left his house when he was 14. He did his thing throughout life and everything. And I don't like him. He works hard. He provides for his family, but I think he could provide so much more. What if he didn't spend the money on alcohol? What if he didn't hang out at the bar? What if he didn't cheat on his wife with another woman? What if he didn't get another woman pregnant while he was married? I do think Gus, or not Gus, I'm sorry. I do think that his friend is Jiminy Christmas. I do think his sons, Corey and Lyons, are somewhat a battle with him that maybe he failed again. I do believe, the kind of person that he is, he's hardworking, never misses a day of work, stands up for what he believes in, but he lies all the time. He drinks more than he says he does. Been in jail, finally comes clean. And I think at the end, and he was a genuine person because he took care of his brother, and we knew his brother was messed up. And he took care of him as much as he could. But his demons, like when he's screaming out the window and all, that's all psychological, man. That really is. And but I believe his daughter, that he had with the other woman that passed away. I believe she was what brought it all together. I think she was like the angel that fixed everything. That's my opinion. That came in and soothed everyone, and I think it was the good side of him that was coming through that little girl. Everyone had done the right thing at the end. Everyone had come through, and that's there's a lot of dialogue to this, a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking, a lot of storytelling, and it was mostly done when everybody was standing outside having a few drinks. So they were having fun, they were carrying on, and he just, like I said, the character comes off to me, as selfish as it gets. A lot of people have a hard time moving on, but at some point, we've got to recognize that we are hurting other people besides ourselves. And I think that's another thing that the author is trying to say. Like, we can't be selfish throughout life. We have to help each other. It's not just about me and you. It's about everyone that we surround ourselves with. We can't make a choice, because we were down and out, and then ruin someone else's life over it. Especially people that care about you. One of the biggest things that I've always thought about, with drunks being, drunks and druggies and stuff that I've been around throughout my life, they always alienated the people that cared about them the most. This could be a story about that. The people that never leave, the people that always stay and, oh, but he's still a good person, and then he goes right back to it. Or the drunk friend that every time they get drunk, they make a fool out of themselves. And then the next day, they forget everything about it. That hurts people. That ruins lives. And maybe that had something to do with it too. There's a lot going on here. I don't feel sorry for Troy, but I do understand the situation, as far as, him having a tough time in life. But I've known people that had much tougher time in life and came out way better than that and didn't have to drink and do drugs or anything like that. So the theme and the meaning, I believe, is care about other people around you, especially the ones that care about you. Don't hold people back with your stupid opinions and your nonsense and your selfishness. Just let people live. Let other people have dreams too besides us. Don't take that away. And at the end of the day, always work as hard as you can. Always do the right thing. And if you do those two things, then tomorrow will take care of itself. Thank you.